So in this video we are going to be continuing to take a look at a scenario where civilization starts over. We are now on episode 55 of the series, and in this episode we will be looking at the end of the Cold War. That is right, the Cold War is going to be ending in this episode. I will be premiering this episode because it is very important. But before we look at the finale of the Cold War, we need to look at a few more final events of the Cold War. But if you guys do end up enjoying this video, please be sure to like and subscribe, and let's get straight into it. So as of right now, the year is 1983, and tensions are still rising, with alliance build-up going on across the globe. Council of Nations disputes are starting to struggle to be solved, and there's a lot more drama going on throughout the entire world. And the first thing that I want to do that we'll talk about this is actually the nuclear bomb slayer. Now, I'm pretty sure I forgot to update this in the last episode, but either way, this will actually be the final nuclear update we'll be doing before the start of the new era. So let's go ahead and take a look at this update. So first of all, coming down to the USB, they go from 116 and 50 up to 131 and 70. So that is 20 more bombs stationed inland outside their own soil. Let's go ahead and see where they have put these bombs. They go ahead and place 4 bombs in the Central American country, now giving them a total of 17. They give 8 to the Floridians, now giving them a total of 13. They give 2 to the Purple Australian country, now giving them a total of 11. And for the final 6, they are actually going to be given over to the Siberian country over here. Remember, these guys only just joined in on the Square Alliance in the last episode, but they have already been trusted with some nuclear bombs. These guys are the democratic movement that was in the rebellion, but they are going to be given those bombs there. Next up, moving over to Iberia, like I did say in, I believe, the episode before last, Galicia capped out at 20, they believe that that's all they need to defend themselves. But Pyrenesia is still developing. They go up to 17 nuclear bombs. They also have similar ideals to Galicia in regards to this, where once they get to 20, that's probably enough that they need to defend themselves. Next up, moving over to Egypt, they're going to be finally heading up to triple digits, as we see them go from 99 and 46 up to 129 and 67. So that is 21 more bombs outside of their own soil. Let's go ahead and see where these are stationed. Seeing the threat of Persia's nuclear bombs on their border here, they go ahead and give a lot to Qatar, with them now having a total of 21 as they are granted 11 more nuclear bombs. Qatar also does put some of this in their puppet state. They give another 3 to their puppet state. Now their puppet state has a total of 6. They go ahead and give the Congo 4 more. They now have a total of 12. And the final 6 are going to be put in their brand new ally of the Papua New Guinea country, just like so. Next up, moving over to Persia, they only gain 2 more, like I have been saying quite a lot. They are really slowing down on the nuclear production, as it has taken quite a big toll on their economy, and they feel like that they have enough to solidly defend themselves. Next up, moving over to India, they go from 135 and 67 up to 151 and 90. So India is still absolutely taking the lead. So let's go ahead and see where these new bombs are stationed in. First of all, they give 9 to Bangladesh, now giving them a nice 25 in total. They give 2 more to Cambodia. They give 3 to the new blue team, which is interesting, because from what India knows, the USB has no nukes stationed in Nigeria, and they also don't. So that's pretty interesting to see India kind of being the aggressor here. And, well, the final 9 nuclear bombs are going to be put in a little bit of a precarious place. Now, where are these bombs going to be stationed in? Well, they are going to be given over to the orange country over here in Arabia. Now, this is very aggressive for India, because this country is right on the border of Egypt. Until now, Egypt hasn't put any bombs like right near India, and India hasn't done the same. But at this point, we see India go ahead and do it to Egypt, and Egypt is very unhappy about this, and we will actually be seeing this warrant something later on. But either way, those are India's updated numbers. Now, for the final 2, let's go ahead and take a look at Tokyo and Indonesia. Tokyo goes from 85 and 39 up to 97 and 59. They give 3 more bombs to the Green Manchurian country. They give 4 more bombs to the Green Manchurian country. They actually give 11 more bombs to the Tanzanian country, which is a very large jump and quite threatening for the Congo and the rest of the countries over here in Eastern Africa. And the final 5 will be given over to the Red Australian country, now giving them a total of 12. And the final country with nuclear bombs is Indonesia. As we can see, Indonesia has developed nukes very late on. However, this has given them time to really ramp up production, so they are ready to mass produce nukes already. As we see, they go up all the way to 14. But that is going to be it for nuclear updates today. And at this point in the Cold War, in the very late stages, the 4 leading members are really going in on influencing other countries throughout the globe, and throughout the course of the Cold War, behind the scenes, a lot of countries had been influenced by one of the 4 major powers, and in 1983, we see a wave of declarations of countries joining in on alliances. So let's go ahead and take a look at all of these. In January, Turkey goes ahead and joins the Triangle Alliance. In February, the Siberian country up here joins the Gear Alliance. In March, the Republic of the Congo sort of country joins the Square Alliance. In April, after being influenced a lot by Egypt, we see this pink country join the Arrow Alliance. In May, the New York country joins the Triangle Alliance. In June, Taiwan joins the Gear Alliance. The only reason that they are doing this is because they were basically threatened by Tokyo. Tokyo sees this as a pretty important naval vantage point, and they were like, if you don't join us, we're going to invade you. So they were basically forced into this by ultimatum. In July, Caucasia joins the Square Alliance. This was a very big win for the USB, as with this also happening, the government of the Caucasian country was actually converted into a democracy. This was a pretty notable coup that took place, and the USB had been working on this for a while, especially because of the new president. And finally, for the last country we see join in on an alliance, we see the orange country over here join in on the Gear Alliance, which is pretty surprising considering the distance between them and Tokyo. However, these guys really don't like the Caucasians, and Tokyo had also been funding foreign operatives in this country for a while, so that is why we see that take place. But with 1983 coming into a close and we enter into 1984, we're going to be seeing tensions reach an unprecedented peak. As we see nuclear development take place all throughout the world, creating stronger bombs, causing many issues, we see multiple different disputes take place between countries based on things like nuclear bombs as well, and in terms of influencing other countries to have different government swaps, which is a pretty big Council of Nations issue. But finally, we have tension coming to a head at a single point. In Southern Africa, which is a region that until this point had been fairly untouched, except for, of course, down here. Now, this is only due to the fact that the USB had funded rebels in the Indian colony in Mozambique, but other than Mozambique, this area has remained pretty peaceful, actually, one of the most peaceful regions in the world. However, behind the scenes, foreign countries had been funding these guys in order to gain influence in this region. The USB, which had been pretty friendly with Angola, who, as we can see, is a full democracy, if I can find the ideology layer, right there. Tokyo had been getting pretty friendly with the Cape country, as this is a very strategic position. India had been getting quite friendly with the red team, and Egypt, as we can see they have been moving down south in Africa, had been getting pretty friendly with the yellow team. And all of a sudden, when these 4 guys realise that they are funding countries in the same region, they're like, hey, you country that we're funding, go and attack the other one. So after a pretty dramatic series of disputes, on the 17th of April 1984, we see Tokyo order the Southern African country to launch an invasion into Namibia. The reason Tokyo did this is because the Indians were increasingly funding these guys, and that funding was going towards putting troops on their border, and Tokyo didn't want India to have the upper hand in any possible war, so we see Tokyo cross the border into Namibia. The USB will then quickly take advantage of this by claiming that they plan to get involved in this to sort out the dispute, because, you know, this should involve the Council of Nations, as these countries are involved in the Council of Nations. How will they do this, you might ask? Well, they tell Angola to start an invasion into Namibia. But then after that, Egypt, seeing what's happening down here, not wanting to lose any influence or control over the region, they order their guy, which I'm probably going to call this country Zambia, or Rhodesia, we love that name. They're going to order Rhodesia to start an invasion into not only Angola, but also into the red team. And after a series of declarations, all 4 of these guys end up at war with each other. Now, this is very bad in terms of tensions, because this is the first time that the Cold War powers have all been involved against each other in a single proxy war. Each one of these guys is fighting against each other down here. We see the first event of this happen with both Tokyo and USB forces meeting up around the capital of Namibia, and then they just start fighting each other, so that's wonderful. We also see this with the yellow team just straight up deciding to declare war on the light blue team. Not too sure how Egypt would feel with that, but they do it anyway. Were they ordered to do so? Either way, the yellow team will also start an invasion in, just like so. And it doesn't raise tensions an extreme amount at start. Of course, this is going to be bad because they're all fighting up against each other here. Until Indian spies find out that Tokyo has started to ship nuclear bombs down here. Now, India is absolutely furious about this. Number 1, because this would give Tokyo a complete unfair advantage, and number 2, some Indian troops are actually fighting on these front lines down here, and they wouldn't want their own forces to get nuked. So India is going to go after Tokyo for doing this. They're going to say to Tokyo, hey, we found out you're trying to put nukes down there. Can you back off, please? Tokyo is going to not be too happy about this, because spies and things. So what we have happening is we actually have a naval standoff between Tokyo and India. Basically, what we see happening is Tokyo is sending their nuclear carriers down, but to send them to South Africa, they have to move through the Strait of Malacca, which is controlled by India. They make the claim that these waters should belong to Indonesia because, this is around their territory. But they say, you will not be moving nukes through this strait. Tokyo is like, hey, Council of Nations, look, they're not letting us move our boats through this. The Council of Nations, the Council of Nations isn't going to be able to do anything because all the leading members that could make any decisions on this are involved in this skirmish, so they would be biased. So the only one that could really do anything is Galicia, and Galicia just nopes out of this. They do not want to get involved. So what we see happening is the Tokyaan ships are forced to go back to the mainland, and Tokyo is going to start blasting India for doing this. This leads to a very, very big amount of tension to take place between these two countries. But this is about to get way more out of hand, because Indian spies have just discovered something else. In Burma, which of course India has spies in Burma, they're right here, they find some pretty scary things. And that is that they find out that there are actually nuclear bombs stationed in Burma. India is immediately going to sound the alarm bells because we had a almost nuclear war with the USB because of them putting their bombs in Burma. What the hell do they think they're doing? The Indians are going to go over to the USB and they're going to be like, why the hell do you have bombs in Burma? This violates the treaty of the Uruguayan Missile Crisis. What do you think you're doing? The USB is going to be completely denying this and stating that they do not have any bombs stationed in Burma. But the thing is, India actually has proof. They show the Council of Nations that there are bombs in Burma. They find it through spy planes. The USB, they just keep on saying that they didn't put nukes in Burma, but the thing is, India has proof. So with this taking place, India fully mobilizes their military ready for any active conflict with the USB. The USB is very scared by this, so they start putting a stupid amount of troops in Vietnam and Burma. India uses this against the USB by saying, hey look, they did put their nukes there, they're also putting troops there as well, even though the USB is only doing this as a response to India mobilizing their military. But wait, there's more. Because in the waters surrounding the USB, in actually the territorial waters that the USB has control of, we see USB submarines actually detect a foreign signal coming from these waters, and when they go to investigate, they actually find a Tokyaan submarine. They immediately destroy it because, well, obviously, and they're going to be accusing Tokyo of this. And once again, very similarly to what we saw with the USB denying everything, Tokyo is going to be completely denying that there is any submarines of their control in the waters around the USB. But the USB proves that this is Tokyo's submarine. They go on board and they find out it has Tokyo's equipment. They look at the travel routes and they see it's come and gone from Tokyo multiple times before. So they think they've got Tokyo against the wall here. But if you thought that was it, no, there's even more. Because on the border between Egypt and Somalia, Egypt actually discovers that there are multiple artillery sites that have weapons actually ready and loaded to launch an assault on the Egyptian major cities in Eritrea at any moment. Egypt is going to be freaked out by this, so they're going to accuse India of this, and once again, even more tensions. At this point, all of the four powers have fully mobilized their military and navy, as they believe that any conflict could break out at whatever moment. And this is finally going to cause a breaking point. The waters of the South China Sea at this point in time are some of the most navally active waters in the whole world. This is, of course, due to the fact that there are Tokyo's allies, the USB's allies, and India's allies in this region. There is just a bunch of stuff happening over here. And unfortunately, for a certain Indonesian ship, they are actually going to be straying into the waters of Cambodia. Cambodia having orders to attack at any moment, finding out that there is Indonesian ships in their waters due to broken radar systems on the Indonesian ships. Of course, they don't know that though. They think the Indonesians are doing this on purpose. They actually fire upon these Indonesian ships and destroy 4 vessels, including 2 battleships and 2 aircraft carriers. This is absolutely devastating for the Indonesian Navy, as that was a big portion of their navy, and the Indonesians are going to see this as an act of war. At this point, both Tokyo and India are like, what the hell is happening here? Why is there a skirmish? What is happening? Are you attacking us? Are we attacking you? We have no idea what's happening. At this point, India and Tokyo are going to start really being aggressive against each other. Tokyo and India are both accusing each other of attacking them, and this leads to a very chaotic situation. But taking a break from this, we need to move down to Africa, as something very bad is going to be taking place. It is not known if the yellow team has received orders to do this, but all of a sudden, the yellow team, which is being funded by Egypt and is in direct cooperation with Egypt, starts an invasion into not only Mozambique, but also into Malawi. These are two USB allies, and the USB sees this as an act of war, and the entire Square Alliance declares war on the yellow team. And 2 days later, we have something taking place in the Horn of Africa. The Somalians receive a transmission from India stating that a war has broken out between the Indian Empire and Egypt. This transmission has come directly from the Indian Arabian colony, and this transmission basically states that you need to go in and go to war with Egypt and start your own invasion, so we have the upper hand in this war. And just like that, on the 30th of July, 1984, Somalian forces will be crossing into Egyptian Eritrea. Egypt will be quickly notified about this, and all of a sudden, a massive conflict has broken out. As not only India and Egypt declare war on each other, but the Square Alliance declares war on both India and Egypt. This is followed by a series of treaties and declarations, and all of a sudden, the Triangle Alliance, the Arab Alliance, and the Square Alliance are all at war with each other. The Triangle Alliance is stating that the USB is purposefully breaking treaties and causing disputes. It's claimed about Egypt that they have been influencing countries to invade other alliances, such as the Square Alliance, and it's claimed by Egypt that India has been an aggressor in the war, causing Somalia to invade into them. And the final nail in the coffin, in Oceania, ordered by Tokyo, as they believe a major war has already broken out, the Red Australians are ordered to invade into both the Indian ally, being the light blue Australian country, but the USB ally being the Northern Australian country. Not only that, but the Indonesian Navy starts many bombardments on the coast of Papua New Guinea. And just like that, World War III has begun, all of the alliances are in war, and this is probably going to be the craziest war we have seen so far, so I really hope you guys are excited for that. If you did enjoy this episode, please be sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next episode, being the first episode of World War III.